Got NFL Power Rankings 16 through number 1. Starting with number 16, my beloved Denver Broncos. I was hoping they would be higher at this point at the end of at the beginning of the year. I'd hope they'd be higher at this point, but their coaching has disappointed me, and they do it all throughout the game. It's not just one or two calls. They run the ball down to zero every play at home and away. So it wasn't just the crowd noise. They did it at home too. And this has a lot to do with coaching, discipline, chemistry. The boys need to spend some time together and get their stuff together because this might be one of the most disappointing seasons of all time if they keep it up at this rate. But knowing Russ, I think he'll get his stuff together. I think he's clutch enough to figure it out, and I think they'll start getting the boat rolling to their more so towards their true potential towards the end of the year. Their defense is kind of was disappointing against Seattle. Uh, they exposed them. I I was kind of high on them at the beginning of the year, adding Randy Gregory to that defense, a run stopper. But I figured that's the one thing they need is run stuffing. But Gregory's on the edge. He stops the run on the edge, and it's as long as I've been a Broncos fan, they've had bad run defenses. They've always had good pass defenders. They've always had Champ Bailey, Dre Bly, uh, Chris Harris, Keeb Talib. Like we've had, and we usually have a good corner to match them. I now Patrick Surtain the second. I think that um, our pass defense has always been really good, but our run defense has just always been trash. The only good inside player I can ever even remember on the Broncos is Al Wilson. He was an inside linebacker, but he was more so of a roaming linebacker. He wasn't a run stopper. He was kind of a dude that stacked up a lot of tackles because he was all over the field. Um, we never had interior defense, so Broncos need to address that. And if they don't address the offense and that interior defense, they'll they'll be borderline wild card this year. I was thinking they might get the division, they have a chance, but as of right now, no. They're borderline wild card. Number 15, I got the Detroit Lions. They've impressed me so far. I was hoping they were going to win week 1, but turns out that those Eagles are pretty tough. But they played the Eagles hard. They almost came back and won that game, and they just beat the Commanders, were coming off a great week 1. I'm excited to see the chemistry on that offense kind of working. And, when Jameson Williams comes back, I think that'll just add to their firepower. Jameson Williams and DeAndre Swift will be carrying that offense. Their defense is what's kind of remained the same, but it seems like they're just kind of fighting harder and being a little more clutch. They're allowing yards, they're allowing a lot of big plays, but they're not making the head scratching mistakes, and they're making more plays with Aiden Hutchinson being back there. So that's yeah. Overall, Lions are on the uptick. I'm hoping for a wild card push from them. 14, three NFC North teams in a row. Vikings. I would have had them a lot higher if it wasn't for their performance last night. Kirk proves that he cannot play in prime time, and he just does not have the clutch gene. I think that he's a great quarterback for your noon game matched up against a team that has nothing to do with their division. Justin Jefferson will get 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins will play good. Dalvin Cook will play good. But when it comes to an away game, under duress, night games, he just falls. And until they win one or two of those a big time matchup at a prime time game or even a playoff game, I'm gonna stay skeptical of the Vikings. Again, they can make a playoff push as well. It just depends on what their schedule looks like. Number 13, I was very hesitant on this one. but just because of their record right now, New York Giants. Not a fan of Daniel Jones. To be honest, they got a really good team around him, except that receiver. They got good running game. They got good defense. That will probably hold them to close to a 500 record this year. But Daniel Jones is still playing sloppy. He's had a different coach every single year. They're usually very badly coached and uh, groomed. Like they don't know how to groom players on that team. They know how to trade for them, and then they bust. That's what they've done the past 10 years, it seems like. On to number 12, got the Los Angeles Rams. I was going to put them a little lower just because of how they looked against the Falcons. Uh, they got an easy 31 on them, and they were dominating. And then the Falcons came all the way back to 20. They were up to 26, and they almost made that comeback. First game getting annihilated by the Bills and almost losing to the Falcons. They got some holes to fill with Von Miller and Odell being gone. Allen Robinson's not filling that second wide receiver void, and their running game is just hit and miss. You got one running back running 1 week, the next another one the other. Henderson in 1 week, Akers in the next week, and neither of them are very consistent, and they are usually pretty injury prone. Their offensive line's kind of falling apart too since Whitworth left. So that's why I have the Rams so low. I am projecting them to go lower and lower. I think they might have a chance of having a losing record this year. Number 11, the Arizona Cardinals, the roller coaster ride themselves. 1 week they'll look completely irrelevant like week 1. Game 2, they looked pretty irrelevant until quarter 4 came on. Like I said in a previous segment about the Cardinals-Raiders matchup, if Kyler would just hit that study book like Peyton, like Tom, like Drew Brees, like even Russ, if he hit that playbook like they did, he probably would be a top 5 quarterback in the league. You can tell he doesn't study because of the way he runs through his progressions, the way he dips out of the pocket before it's even collapsing. He just plays backyard football. That's it, straight up. It might have worked for him, but I don't know how far it's going to take them knowing that they collapsed at the end of the last season and the season before. So, got a lot of skill, flashy players on that offense, but a lot has yet to unfold for that team, too. Number 10, I got the 49ers. And if it wasn't for Trey Lance getting hurt, I probably would have them lower. I don't think Trey Lance was ready. I think Trey Lance is kind of a bust. And I think he kind of did it to himself by not going to a D1 school and not competing every single game, every single snap. He has limited college play, and he's a project. You don't put a project quarterback in a situation where you don't know if Jimmy G is going to be coming or going. If you feel like you're going to force him in there, you're probably going to wreck that project. Projects are meant to sit for 2 years at a time. He needs to develop and then see what he's got. I'm not too keen on Trey Lance. I think that he's got big bust potential. The way they were going to get rid of Jimmy G and the way they brought him back just is pretty sketchy. Their defense is pretty solid. They got Debo and Kittle in there too. So I mean, as long as Jimmy G's in there, I totally expect them to make a division run and make a run for the Super Bowl. But they have to keep to their identity. Doesn't matter what Jimmy G's stat line is. Look at his win-loss record. Look at that. And then look at Jimmy G's his whole time with the 49ers. Look at their record with him starting, and look at their record with him not starting. Case closed. Number 9, I got the New Orleans Saints. I was very high on them this year. I thought Jameis was going to be performing a lot better than he is right now. Their defense is still, I think, probably a top 5 defense in the league. Even though they gave up 19 to Brady, their offense could only muster 3 points, and you're not going to win any games doing that. They have Kamara's out. Michael Thomas is still kind of working into the lineup. He still looks like he's still kind of getting into shape. He lost a little bit of burst, but I think he still has number one receiver potential. Um, but the Saints could make a run at the division. But the way James is playing, it looks like they're heading towards a 500 season. Number 8, I have the Chargers. Um, Solely because they competed with the Chiefs. I thought they might get beat by about 10 points to 2 touchdowns. Herbert kind of threw a late garbage touchdown and kept himself in there, so it looks a lot closer than what it was. The Chiefs kind of beat them down. Uh, Eckler doesn't look. I see him on the top of everybody's fantasy boards throughout the year, and I understand that he gets a lot of receiving, a lot of rushing, gets some touchdowns. He had a good year last year. But if you look at all of his other years, he's been in the league for a while. You look at all his other years, this year it looks like he's having a year like all those other years, which weren't bad, but weren't star running back years. Keenan Allen being hurt really hurts them. I'm a big Keenan Allen fan. He opens that offense. He makes that offense complete. I feel like when they were throwing a lot to Mike Williams, it feels like they were forcing a lot, and Mike Williams has had to make big jump ball plays. And the Chargers are the Chargers. I always said that Justin Herbert doesn't play like him, but he's going to have a very similar career to him, and that's Philip Rivers. A lot of good statistical years. He's going to have great players around him. LaDainian Tomlinson, Vince Jackson, Antonio Gates. Herbert has a lot of talent on his team too, and I just feel like they're going to always have great stats. They're always going to wow you with this and that, but when it comes to winning the big game, that's the ultimate question mark, and I don't think they're going to go anywhere. Baltimore Ravens, number 7. A lot of people would have them lower at this point, but just knowing how Lamar Jackson performed last week, I think that he'll be able to carry the team on his back for a lot of wins. I think they'll get about 10 this year. And their secondary being hurt, I don't want to hear that. The Dolphins were responsible for that. I mean, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle scorched them. Like, I just think that the Baltimore defense is not as bad as what people are saying they are. If Lamar can protect the ball and not have games like you had yesterday, which I don't foresee, I think they'll be just fine. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. They did exactly what I thought they would on Sunday night. They're like a lot better version of the Vikings. Those easy games, they're gonna light that scoreboard up. They're gonna show all their great players off. It's just those big games, and when they're away, when they're under duress. Green Bay at home, I'll take them 8-0 this year. I'll take Aaron Rodgers as the favorite for MVP. I'll take them to even go to the NFC Championship this year. Put him in that last drive, 2 minutes left to win the game. He has failed time and time again, and I'm probably going to have the Packers, no matter how good they get or bad they get. I'm probably going to keep them at that range because they've done the same thing since 2010. They've had the same kind of year every single year. If this year they can just mold your team into a power play action team and just have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones carrying the workload and then do Aaron Rodgers just roll out big plays for him, I think that's their best chance at success, and that's a winning formula because then Aaron won't feel like he has to force the pass when it's negative 20 degrees out. So if you get the running game going, that equals success in the wintertime. So that's what I think the Packers should do. Who knows if they will. Number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They came off a great win off the Saints. don't really have any impressive wins yet, but until you knock off the GOAT, I have a reason yet to question them. Their defense looks good. Everybody performed on their team. They play good like team football. You can tell they're well coached. You can tell they respect their leader. I love how they defended Tom Brady on that play. Dude's gonna talk smack to Tom Brady, and you're gonna get what's coming to you. And I like that camaraderie they have in that locker room. But nothing overly impressive yet for the Buccaneers. Number 4, I have the Miami Dolphins. Um, that game on Sunday really impressed me. Out of all the teams on Sunday, they impressed me the most. Now I might knock them down next week. They might have a poor performance. I don't know, but as of right now, if they keep pushing the ball down the field like they did in that fourth quarter, just keep doing that. Don't pitter patter and do your little dink and dunk stuff. 3 out of the 4 like if you're on a drive, you should be pushing the ball to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle about 70% of the time. They're gonna make plays for you, and they're gonna be killers for defense and deflators for like they just deflate the other team with a 60-yard bomb, boom, another 60-yard bomb, boom. That kills the spirit of the other team. So I think they have a high ceiling. They have a lot to prove, but they have a high ceiling. Number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. I was really hot on them coming into the year. They had the best draft. They really improved that defense. Their home field really showed out last night. Jalen Hurts, I think, is developing in the right way, and he's remaining healthy. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders. I mean, they got great skill players and great young defenders, so they're only going to grow and get better unless somebody gets hurt or something like that. Number 2, I got the Chiefs. Uh, Nothing really much to say there besides Mahomes is looking a lot better without Tyreek. Not better, but a lot better than I thought he would be. I thought that Patrick Mahomes would miss Tyreek a lot more. Um, but he's finding a way, and they found a way the other night against the Chargers. Who knows if that'll be enough to beat number 1, the Buffalo Bills. They came off a shellacking last night, made the Titans look like one of the worst teams in the league. If they go on a run where they're doing that to everybody, fully expect them to be in the AFC Championship and most likely the Super Bowl. I wouldn't put money on it because they're the Buffalo Bills, and I have yet to see them get past the divisional round in my lifetime. In the 90s, I wasn't watching football then when they went to those 4 straight and lost 4 straight. If that's a real curse, then it could be a lot more than just having a good year to get them to the Super Bowl. They might need some other players to step up. Like I said in my other segment, I think James Cook's a good running back. If they put him and hit their offense, they're basically unstoppable, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my power rankings for week 3. I'll have my game picks coming up.